And welcome to another edition of On the Hash with Hatfield. We are glad you are tuned in with us on this Thursday here in the month of October. We'll talk to you about everything happening in the world of football, especially on the local front, high school football, Virginia high school football. We have a bunch of games on this particular Thursday night that are transpiring. We got some games involving. We just put up our top 10s today on VirginiaPreps.com, the latest top 10s across the state picture, and we do have some intrigue in the fact that you still have 41 undefeated teams left in the state. The VHSL has released its power ratings across the board. So all 6 classifications, all 24 regions, they're up there. You can find that on their website and on VirginiaPreps.com for all of you. We got some special guests joining us. You're going to hear from Steve Monninger. He's the head football coach. We give the private schools some love today at Norfolk Academy, who've got a key matchup with Nansman Suffolk Academy this week. They're sitting at 4-1 are the Bulldogs with Will Foley, who just made his commitment to Hampton, Sydney. Coach Monninger will stop by to chat about that and so much more. Plus, we'll look at some of the games this week, including a showdown in the Southeastern District on Friday night in Chesapeake. Indian River coming off its humbling loss to Kings Fork 33-7. Braves try to get back on track and knock Oscar Smith in the ranks of the unbeaten. I think there's about 42, 43 teams in the state that are unblemished. We'll see if Oscar Smith remains among the undefeated teams, or can their rival from Chesapeake take them down? I'll give you my pick on that game, as well as what Coach Young has for that game coming up in just a bit as well. So just a quick thought from last week's games and some of the things that transpired. Kings Fork beating Indian River, and the feeling was that they sort of just bullied them in the game, physically ran the ball down their throat. Javon Ford took advantage of a fumble, and they were off and running from there. Some other teams that had some big results. Green Run, statement win for them as they took down their city rival in Salem. They've got their Beach District streak continuing to go on. Phoebus took down their rival in Hampton. Statement win for the Phantoms in some respects after the, dare we say, less than stellar showing against Bethel the week before. Some other teams that are still unbeaten. Lafayette's looking good in the Bay Rivers. Pocosin looking good in the Bay Rivers despite a couple of injuries. They're going to get healthier. Will the Bull Islanders? You've got Bruton still undefeated in the Bay Rivers. They got tabbed this week. Southeastern, you're down to 2 teams without a loss, Oscar Smith and Kings Fork. And if you're wondering when they will square off, that will take place on October the 25th at Beard DeLong Easley Field. Beach, it's down to just 1 unbeaten with Green Run. Eastern District, 2, Maury, Granby. Feels like that's going to be a collision course for them coming up in early November. So a lot happening in the realm of high school football and Hampton Road. Some of these teams trying to stay undefeated, get on their fast track to the playoffs. Top seeds right now in the playoffs, Oscar Smith's holding it with Glen Allen in 6A. 6B is Stafford by a sliver over Gainesville and North Stafford. Keep an eye on that because you have 3 games on this Thursday night outside the 757. I'm watching closely with Gainesville at Patriot, with George Marshall at Washington Liberty, and with Westfield at Madison. I bring up Madison. They've been to the state championship a couple of times, been to a number of state playoffs here lately under Coach Justin Counts. They're taking on the Bulldogs. They had the top seed in Region 6D, where Washington Liberty is also unbeaten. Hayfield is just roaring past people in 6C. 5A right now, as far as your playoff picture looks for them, it's Green Run. And we'll stop right there because we had a chance to catch up with a couple of the Stallions after their big win that they had on Friday night over Salem. We're talking about Kassan Farrar, the quarterback, the trigger man. What a game he had. He was our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week just a couple weeks ago. Well, 18 of 27 for 262, 4 TDs, no picks. 5 runs for 92 yards and a score. That adds up to 354 yards and 5 TDs. And the guy catching the balls from him was Jayden Anderson, the Virginia Tech commit. Farrar's going to UConn. Here's what they told us after they beat the Salem Sun Devils, and they keep rolling past Beach District opponents here on The Hash with Hatfield.
All right, here with the Green Run Dynamic Duo, we got Kassan Farrar, the quarterback tonight. He throws for 262 yards, 18 of 27, and has 4 TD passes to go with a rushing score, 92 yards, 5 attempts. And Jayden Anderson, the Hokies commit, with his UConn commit here tonight, 9 grabs, 174 yards, a couple scores as they beat Salem tonight rather convincingly. All right, Jay, let me start with you. There's a lot of talk about someone's going to knock off Green Run on the Beach. Didn't happen tonight. A lot of talk about who's the best receiver in the state. Tonight you showed out. Was this a statement type of game for you and your squad?
I wouldn't say necessarily a statement. We knew what we was gonna come out here and do our job and take this W home.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sure you believe you have the best quarterback in the state. You believe you have the best wide receiver in the state right here. You guys graduated a really good one in Keelan Birdie Adams. What was the key tonight to getting out to? It wasn't a fast start, but the lead and then extending it.
We just got to trust each other, and I know I'm going to get him the ball. He can make a play with the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm. For you, you showed the mobility as well to go with your passing game. You're leading the area in passing right now. How much do you guys strive to get back to where you've been the last couple of years and go further? Because this team has been close to getting to that ultimate goal of a championship.
We always got to stay humble. We always got to work hard, and we just got to prove everybody wrong.
Mm-hmm. They battled you early. It's a 3-0 game. Then you guys got hot, 18 straight points. They scored before that half. What did you guys do to pull away and not make this a ball game in the end?
Coach gave us a good talk in the huddle. I told Coach to put the ball in my hands and I'm going to make a play.
Mm-hmm. You had 9 catches. You had the flea flicker reception. You had the hurdle move, couple of scores. What was your favorite grab of the night?
My favorite grab of the night was the seam route.
Okay.
Touchdown.
Sure. How good can this team be, Kassan? I mean, you guys get the win, but it feels like you got to clean up some things, and especially the penalties tonight when you get flagged for 16 for a $147. How good can this team be, and how do you reach some of those goals?
We just got to practice. We got to limit the penalties and play mistake-less football.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, Hokies play the Huskies ever in football? Who wins that game? Do we know? Have you guys played the video game?
Hokies.
Have you gone NCAA yet? Have y'all done it yet? No, you haven't done it? All right. Well, we know this. Green Run's getting wins. The streak is now at 44 against Beach District schools, and it's 39 in the regular season. Congrats, guys. Good job. Good work. Yeah, good work. Good job.
Tell you what, as great as Farrar and Jayden Anderson were, and they were electric, so too was their running back, Charles Jackson. We didn't touch on him in that conversation, but the Norview transfer, 10 rushes for 52 yards and a score, also caught the football 5 times for another 53 yards. He really gives them that multi-purpose back for Coach Brandon Williams and Q Payton, the OC, and just another weapon for that team that is looking more and more like the favorite in Region 5A. Some thought Salem and the defending region champs in Indian River would be the right there on the same level of them. Not from what I saw on Friday night as a Green Run. They had that one forfeit win. They're 6-0. That one forfeit win over Princess Anne. They're averaging 40.2 points per game. Lansdowne coming up for senior night tonight. Bayside a week from Saturday, 2:00 game. Then FC, a bye week. Ocean Lakes. I don't see anybody staying with them inside the beach. And probably Region 5A, it's going to take someone really disrupting them with their defense. So they're the top seed there. 5B is going to be interesting because you still have 4 undefeated teams in the regions. Maury, Kings Fork, Warwick, Granby. We know Maury is the prohibited favorite as defending state champs, obliterating foes. They played that really challenging schedule to start with Wise out of Maryland, Highland Springs, and Dinwiddie, and they answered the call in each of those tests, if you will. Commodores, Granby's the last game of the year. Can they get outpointed by a Kings Fork or a Warwick? It's hard to see that happening. I don't think so. Warwick is trying to knock off Phoebus into the year and get to that spot at 10-0. We'll see if they can do that. I'm really fascinated to see who gets that 4 line, is maybe draw Nans, whatever is the 5. You've got Menchville, Woodside, Bethel below that. Bethel could be a pesky team for a half of a game in the first round. I'm not sure they can knock off one of those top seeds, though, because Amari Pryor has been running the rock extremely well lately for them. 5C, which is outside of the 757, 804 teams, Matoka, William Fleming, Midlothian, LC Bird. Watch out for Bird. They're picking up steam. William Fleming's got a big test this week against William Bird, the reigning Region 3D champs. They have been putting up eye-popping numbers under Coach Nick Leftwich. They got the running back going to Syracuse in Malachi Coleman. Matoka also has got a test coming up with Thomas Dale, Central District rival. That is not an easy game for them. I know Dale has not been putting up some of the numbers that we're accustomed to seeing, but they're a Class 16 that's a real stalwart. That could be upset alert for Matoka, even with those flashy, talented receivers in Dylan Newton-Short and Bryce Yates leading the way for them offensively. 5D, you got a bunch of 3-2, 2-3 teams there. Briar Woods looks like the team to beat. They play Riverside on this particular evening. We move over to Class 4, Region A, and we did go to Darling Stadium last Saturday for the Peninsula District Once Upon a Time showdown. Not so much a showdown anymore. Phantoms of Phoebus, a winner over the Crabbers of Hampton. Later on in the program, you'll hear from Jeremy Blunt, the head man of the Phantoms. But right now, you're going to hear from the wide receiver defensive back, Noah Jefferson, who's going to Delaware, and the defensive back who joins him in that secondary, and Nijay Gay, as the Phantoms, the beat continues to roll on for them as they just keep dominating foes in the Peninsula District. A 37-3, just missed a running clock margin of victory over the Hampton Crabbers. Here was what Mr. Gay and Mr. Jefferson told us here on The Hash with Hatfield.
All right, here at the Phoebus Phantoms, 2 standout defensive backs. We got Nijay, gate number 4 here on my right, your left watching this, and Noah Jefferson, number 12, the Delaware commit, who had a couple of picks and a 60-yard TD. The Phantoms win at 37-3 over their arch rival, the Hampton Crabbers. All right, Nijay, you're a senior. 4 straight wins for you against the Crabbers, 9 in the series. What's it mean to come here in a rivalry game and sort of stomp the Crabbers out, if you will?
Yeah, man. It's just all mental, man. We came in practice, did what we were supposed to do, got all the little things out the way, make sure we did everything, make sure we was locked in on the field before the game, pre-game, all that. We just did what we had to come out here and do.
Sure. And Noah, you guys, after last week's bit of a scare early with Bethel, now you guys running clock, and that was down 21-14 in the second quarter. First play from scrimmage, you and Marika, 60-yard TD. Take me through that play as you tippy-toe to Salem on your way to the end zone.
That's just me and Reek, but we got that connection. We've been working through it this whole offseason. That's my guy. We just have that bond, and we're able to get the ball in the end zone.
You get more thrill out of scoring. Be honest, more thrill out of scoring or get interceptions, because you telegraphed and read some plays on defense today too.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm definitely an interception guy because that means I read the quarterback was able to make a play on the ball. But touchdowns, I like touchdowns too.
Sure. Be honest, Nijay, you guys didn't have your best performance last week against Bethel. People were saying, oh, what's wrong with Phoebus? Was that the motivation this week? I imagine it was a tough practice with Coach Blunt and the guys.
Yeah, it was a little motivation, but we don't let the outsiders get to what we got going on. We just go to practice and worry about what we got to do.
Sure.
Outsiders are going to talk all the time. We just push it off away.
Sure. Coach was excited about your transition in the offseason. You played more of a hybrid role last year, linebacker to corner this year. He told me back in May, I think this guy's ready for it. Tell me about what you guys did defensively against a talented sophomore quarterback. They got a Marcus Chapman. He started out 5 of 6. The rest of the day, you guys locked him in the passing game down.
Yeah, it was personal. Like, I guess he started feeling comfortable. He could throw the ball. Mm-hmm. We went in the locker room, talked about it, made adjustments, came back out here, shut it down.
There's still some things to clean up, Noah, as you guys get on your quest to try to four-peat. The penalties are something you got to work on. What do you take from this game today? It's 37-3, not satisfied, but you're making some progress as a team. What's kind of your takeaway?
Yeah, we're not satisfied at all because we know what we're capable of. We can come out, we can pitch shutouts every week we play on the field, and we just gotta do better. We gotta come and execute better. We gotta just stick to the game plan. We'll be all right.
Last to reach you guys, I haven't talked to you since we made commitments. You're going to NC Central.
Yes, sir.
You're going to Delaware. Tell us about what NC Central, what you're excited about there, and how much you're looking forward to getting there and balling out.
Yeah, man, they show a lot of love to me, man. It's HBCU, perfect place for me. Great place. I've been on campus. Feel like it's just the best fit for me.
Sure. And for you, Delaware, Blue Hen, huh?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that fit and what you like.
It's just amazing. The coaching staff, when I'm there, they make you feel like home. They always checking up on me, calling me, trying to see how I'm doing, and they just make it feel welcome, man. It's just nowhere else I'd rather be.
Lastly, for both of you guys have now won as a team 63 straight against the Peninsula, 40 total here. Do you pay attention to those streaks, or how do you block out the outside noise? You mentioned earlier, how do you do it?
Yeah, sometimes we worry about the streak, but we just keep winning games and winning games and winning games. Just let it stack up.
What was that?
We live in the now. That's our game plan every week. We live in the now. Opponent on the schedule. That's what we worry about.
Past, present, future. The Phantoms get it done. Another victory. Thanks, guys. Congrats.
Good work. Yep. Good job.
So Phoebus keeps rolling along in the Peninsula District. They have coming up Kickitan, who has not scored a touchdown this year, so it figures to be not much of a challenge for them in that one. And then they follow that with Gloucester and Menchville. The big one, November 2nd, 12 noon at Darling against Warwick. And then they have the makeup game with Denby, November the 8th at John B. Todd Stadium. And Phoebus does have the stranglehold, it looks like, on the number 1 seed in Region 4A. Smithfield's probably going to be the 2 unless Hampton can catch them. Churchland can help themselves immensely should they beat their Portsmouth rival in Norcom. And they're quietly rolling along. Dontrell Leonard's Truckers might be a guest next week. They get a win over Norcom this week to make it 4 straight after the 0-2 start for them out in Portsmouth and P-Town. 4B, it's going to be a battle to the end to see who can get that number 1 seed. You got Dinwiddie, you got Verona, you got undefeated Huguenot, and even some of the 4, 5, 6 seeds are not total pushovers with your Eastern Views, your Atleys, your Hanovers of the world. Surprise Palatines on the outside looking in at the first ratings release. 4C, Phoebus could run into a team in 4C, obviously, on their quest to a 4-peat. They're going to keep an eye peeled on 2 teams in particular. Tuscarora, for one, which has played in state championships recently, lost one not too long ago to Lake Taylor. And they'll also keep their eye closely on John Champ, who is 5-0 right now and looking like a team that can really do some things with that Air Aldi attack that Coach Lee Carter has throwing the football with some talented wide receivers. 4D, it's Jefferson Forest at the top. GW Danville, who's making noise, 4 straight wins for them as they've recovered from the early loss to Dinwiddie. They beat Magna Vista late with under 20 seconds to go last week. Nehemiah Cabell, the TD pass there for them at the quarterback spot. Sharando's unbeaten and Hanley at 4-1. Salem right now checking in at the number 6 seed, which is not like Salem out west. Mecklenburg's a nice story at 4-2. So that's what it looks like for the 6 through 4. I'll give you some quick thoughts on 3 through 1 in the last segment of the program as well. We'll also hear from Coach Blunt. Before we take a break, though, we do want to unveil our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week. The last 2 honorees went to the likes of Cam Kirby of Indian River and Kassan Farrar of Green Run, a couple of quarterbacks. Let's give the defensive guys some love. This guy plays some defense and offense. We're talking about Noah Jefferson of the Phoebus Phantoms. Congrats to him, as he is our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week, a 60-yard touchdown catch and 2 INTs, as you just saw a little while ago, chatting with us after that win over the Hampton Crabbers 37-3. So kudos to Noah Jefferson, as the Phantoms have won 40 straight and counting. He is our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back and we're going to hear from Steve Monninger, head football coach of the Norfolk Academy Bulldogs. They're 4-1, fresh off a win over Atlantic Shores last week, looking strong before they take on NSA in a key matchup. And he will give you the lowdown on how his squad is doing and what's looking like for VISAA football. Different playoff structure than the Virginia High School League. They don't have a power rating system. They have a committee. He'll tell you more about that and how they determine things for the postseason when we come back here on The Hash with Hatfield. But as we get ready to take a break, it's time now to hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us to do this with you each and every week on our podcast here on Cova Sports TV. Make sure you hit that like button, that share button, and definitely the subscribe button so you can get notifications when we do go live with our podcasts such as this one. So we'll be back in just a moment right here on Cova Sports TV.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7 right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
And we welcome you back to On the Hash with Hatfield here on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe as we have a special guest with us here. He is the head football coach of the Bulldogs of Norfolk Academy, who are rolling, I believe, at 4-1 on the season. We say hello to our friend pal, Coach Steve Monninger. Coach, it's October. High school football is all over the world right now. Only air here in the Commonwealth, and you guys are rolling. How's it been?
It's been going great. Yeah, we're in the kind of the thick of the season right now, and trying to stack weeks, week after week, and in and out, and kind of focus on being 1-0 each week. So it's been really cool getting to this point, but there's a lot more football left in the season, clearly.
For sure. Now, this is for you at Norfolk Academy, year 13, year 14. Where are we with you as the
This
head
is my
man?
14th year as the head coach.
14 there. For those that are unfamiliar with your background, take us through the high school days, the college days, how you got into coaching, and how you wound up at Norfolk Academy.
Sure. So yeah, I'm a New Jersey guy, born and raised in New Jersey, and I grew up in a town called Westfield where football was pretty darn important there. I was a multi-sport athlete with football and lacrosse, and studied hard and enjoyed my time there. And then I was able to move on to play Division III at a school called Middlebury College. It's in Vermont. It's kind of one of those small Ivy League schools where they have a really good blend of athletics and academics. And I was able to play linebacker at Middlebury College and enjoy my 4 years there, able to be captain my senior year and try and lead that team to some success. But that was actually my home away from home because I stayed there. I stayed at Middlebury College, and I became a low-level GA and kind of climbed the ranks and coached many different positions at Middlebury College, eventually becoming the defensive coordinator for many, many years. After having a child and thinking about changing things up a little bit and finding a little bit more balance in my life, I started looking at independent schools where I could be a head coach. And I found my way to Norfolk Academy 14 years ago. So I did 13 years of college coaching and now 14 years of being a high school coach here in the 757, which was a new area for me to learn about. Coming from the Green Mountains of Vermont and down here was a big change, but a change that was for the better for me, for my family, and I certainly love the area and absolutely love our school.
That's awesome. You've built a tradition and a winning culture there, and people certainly admire and respect what you all have done there at NA. I asked so many veteran coaches, and you're now a veteran coach and being at a place for more than a decade or dozen years. Did you anticipate being in this spot for so long? And what has kept you at Norfolk Academy? Because I'm sure you've had opportunities to go elsewhere, you and your family, but you've certainly built it there and like where you're at.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the most important thing is things didn't come easy here. We were not successful when I first got here. My first couple of years, building to be 500 was a major goal at one point. Trying to win a conference championship was a major goal at one point. And those things are still true in terms of winning and accomplishments and championships. All coaches are driven by those things. But the most important thing that kind of keeps me here at Norfolk Academy is just the culture of family, the culture of togetherness, the academic excellence, the style of kid, the style of young man that I get to coach on a year in and year out basis, where they're tough young men, but they're also balanced with high academic demand, and certainly emotionally and from a character standpoint, always in development. So being part of that building process has been a major joy for me. I'm also blessed because my children get to go to Norfolk Academy. So I have two sons, and they're younger Bulldogs, and that's been a joy for me to let them come to such a great school and get a great education and play sports and continue to develop their character too.
You mentioned younger Bulldogs, so do we see the pigskin in their futures?
They both play football. One's playing for a rec league called the Great Neck Buckeyes, and one is my other son is a ninth grader on our JV team. So they're on their way.
That means Dad's there has inked a contract for 4 more years if he's a ninth grader on the JV. Let's get to some before we get to your current squad now and the outlook, what's ahead for your team, and then also the VISAA in general here statewide. Any couple of favorite memories and moments? You talked about it not being easy when you got there, and I'm sure you could offer some advice to younger coaches out there, fans, what it takes in building a program from the ground up, if you will. But do you have a couple of moments or maybe turning points in your journey here at NA?
Yeah, I think our first TCIS championship was a really big deal for us. I'm not going to actually know the exact year on that one, but it's about 10 years ago. And you're right, when you win a championship and you start to turn the page and your kids, your student athletes go from thinking they might win walking into a game versus knowing they're going to win, or having that winning approach going into a game is a massive deal. So, I think you're right. It takes one parent told me that turning this program around is like turning around an aircraft carrier. It's going to take time. And he was right. And it wasn't a snap of the fingers. So patience is a virtue. It's a really important part of this process. And the concept of never being satisfied, always on the grind. We are not a program full of Division I football prospects. Year in and year out, we're in a development phase. Our numbers have always been healthy here in terms of the numbers of kids playing middle school football, JV football, and varsity football. We're one of the few VISA teams that carries all three levels. But in that prospect, it's more about keeping kids growing through the program and getting them to believe in and week out that we're in a position to win.
Sure. Now, for your team currently, I know you have a number of contributors, both sides of the football, and certainly whether it be public or private school, but especially some of their private schools, the numbers can be sometimes limited. So you need guys to go both ways or three phases when you include the special teams. But one young man I want you to begin touching on, then you can branch out to some others, is Will Foley, because it seems like every week I'm seeing him on the highlights doing something for your team. He's running the football, and I believe, did he just make his commitment to college? Is he headed to Hampton Sydney? Is that correct?
That's true. He just a couple days ago made his commitment to Hampton Sydney College. We've had a string of Norfolk Academy student athletes commit to play sports and be a Tiger in Farmville. It's a fantastic school. I was able to go to a football game versus Randolph-Macon and watch that atmosphere at Hampton Sydney. So that's a school that's supported us over the years. We have current players on that roster, and that's a school that we've supported as well. And we're big fans of Hampton Sydney. I think it's a great fit for Will, athletically, academically, and from a personal standpoint, it's a place that gets their arms around you, keeps you accountable, and has a big culture of brotherhood at that school.
Outstanding. What makes him such a unique football player? And then expand not just on him, but some other key parts for you. I guess you can be with the offensive side of the ball and flip it to defense, some names that people should watch out for the second half of the season on your journey to the postseason.
Sure. So Will is certainly a focal point for us. The offense often runs through him. If Will is hitting on all cylinders, our offense is in good rhythm. Will's really special. He's a very dynamic athlete. He can return kicks. He can run the ball clearly. He's involved in our Wildcat package where he can run the ball or throw the ball. He's a good receiver. He's one of our top receivers in terms of the screen game or just getting him out of the backfield. So we've done a pretty good job as a coaching staff to get him in positions where if you're a defense, he's gonna present in a lot of different ways. So he's smart. So he understands all his different roles in those spots. So it's hard to ask an athlete to do all those things and be great at all of them, but Will has done that. He's explosive. He's dynamic. He's got a low center of gravity. He's tough to bring down. He's got really good vision and patience through the hole. And he's got a great offensive line this year that we were wondering about coming into the season. But every high school football team needs a great offensive line. So I'm really proud of those guys that have stepped up and taken the reign from that standpoint.
Outstanding. And then your quarterback, Parker Coddington, he's going to Princeton to play baseball. Is that right?
Correct. So Parker had a great summer in terms of the recruiting process and got out there and threw in the high 80s or mid 80s. Low 90s, and did a great job presenting himself to a lot of college coaches for baseball. He's a gifted young man, a great athlete. He's over 6 feet tall, weighs around 190. He's strong. He's tough. And he commands our offense. And Parker's done a great job in terms of distributing the ball to the right people, but also unlike last year where we had more of a passing quarterback, Parker kind of adds an extra dynamic element in terms of running the football. So that's been really key for us this year. He's a tough runner, especially between the tackles, and can get the ball on the perimeter and decide to run or pass. So we've had to change our offense for this year to fit our personnel. We've done that, and Parker has answered the call.
Terrific. And before we continue on some other key contributors for your coach, it just makes me think of, the multi-sport athletes and just the camaraderie and the cohesion you all have at Norfolk Academy. I think back to I mean, names like David McCormick and Mark Williams for basketball, Mark in the NBA. We know what Mary Werkheiser has done with the field hockey program that's nationally recognized and decorated, and you guys at football winning success. I mean, just the sharing of athletes and the community at Norfolk Academy. It's a special place for folks that haven't been there before. I'm just imagining that you all on Friday nights, you have those goosebumps, especially in those close ball games, right?
Yeah, no doubt. This is an incredibly special place. When you think of independent schools, where there's going to be a faculty of teachers and coaches that are in the building that care about young men and women on and off the field, and have their best interests in mind. There's not many places in the state or in the country that share athletes in a healthier environment than Norfolk Academy. So if you're a parent of a student athlete that wants your son or daughter to play multiple sports and do it at a very high level, and have an understanding that they're also under a high academic load, this is the place. This is the place to be. High level facilities, strength and conditioning support, college counseling support. Everything that you would want is here at Norfolk Academy. If you want to play multiple sports and balance high academics, it's a perfect atmosphere for that. I'm buddies with all of our male coaches, and we know we have to share our guys. And when it comes to basketball season, I'm hands off. When it comes to football season, the other coaches are hands off. And I think that is the most important thing, whether it's wrestling or baseball. We have a high contingent of guys that play football and lacrosse. So this is a place for young men to grow and develop. And it's a little bit of a throwback situation. As I said, when I grew up in New Jersey, we all played multiple sports and we all didn't have a lot of demands off season. So it's tougher these days, but we make it happen here at NA.
That's awesome. Okay, in addition to Coddington and Foley, I know every coach has some of those unsung heroes. It can be those fellas in the trenches, maybe someone on special teams, a defender that's undersized, that's giving it to whistle for you. Who are a few of the names that people should know about that mean a great deal to your team here, 4-1 start to the season, and you hope the rest of the way?
Yeah, there's a few of them for sure. One guy I'd mentioned is that Brock Becker is a senior athlete, football, basketball, lacrosse. He's kind of a silky smooth athlete who's got great ball skills in terms of coverage as on the defensive side of the ball, but we've asked him to do some special things on special teams. He returned kicks. He had a scoop and score after a blocked field goal in our second game. Brock is a featured guy in our offense in terms of receiving. He gets the ball in speed sweeps and gets the ball in reverses and that kind of stuff. So, Brock is certainly one that's been a great contributor for us. Peter Galiotis is another senior. We kind of call him Touchdown Pete. He doesn't get as many carries as Will, but is certainly a key contributor on all three phases of the game. He plays linebacker for us and running back, and also has really good hands out of the backfield. So Pete has been an important part for us as well. I guess all of our offensive linemen need a little bit of a shout out. So Chance Stewart is a senior offensive lineman who's looking to throw, shot put, and discus at places like Lehigh and other Patriot League schools and William & Mary. So he's in that recruiting process, a really talented young man. Costello Chufo is a senior, big offensive lineman. He's about 6'7", and has taken his visits up to University of Rochester for football. So it's a good Division III type athlete, and great young man. Caleb Gibson is our center and a captain of our wrestling team, has done an outstanding job. Grant Murilli is a junior who's shown a lot of size and strength at our right guard and is the one guy that stepped up the most. And then Hunter Wynn. Hunter Wynn's a special talent for us. He's our right tackle. He's 6'4", 6'5", 280, and very athletic, and has an offer from ODU and Elon as just a junior. So there'll be more coming from that standpoint. So, we're really strong on the offensive line this year, and they're two-way players, but that's really helped us from the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you know it better than anybody, the line play that can determine the fate of so many of these big games. You open up 2-0, Coach. We see it scrolling across the ticker your results thus far, beating Currituck and Potomac. Had the elegant St. Christopher's, and you beat Fuma and Atlantic Shores here before the matchup with NSA. What did you learn through the little bit of adversity, and what have you done right the last couple of weeks that you hope to build on here for the remainder of this campaign?
I think when you're kind of finding your identity at the beginning of the year, saying, okay, what type of team are we going to be? We know what we lost last year. We know what's coming back. And we're trying to think about who we're going to be and what we're going to hang our hat on offensively, defensively, and special teams. And even with the St. Chris loss, that taught us more about kind of the need for our discipline, the need for our being assignment sound, the need to quote unquote do your job. And I think whether you're playing a great team or a team that's maybe not as talented as you are, that has to kind of be a standard. So we kind of learned in that game, we were playing a very talented team with St. Chris. I think it's one of the better St. Chris teams we played in my 14 years. And we hung in there with them, but didn't have enough to get it done. But watching the film, we're like, we're closer than we thought if we just cleaned this, and this up. So understanding the aspect of discipline and doing your job is an incredibly important thing. But our team concept of how we're going to win football games, it's going to be run the football. We have to be able to rush the football. We have to play great on defense and force turnovers. And we need to win the special teams battle. And that's kind of like our formula this year. When we do all those things really well, we churn out victories. We're not blowing people out of the water in the first half, but we're close in the first half, like Atlantic Shores. And the next thing you know, in the second half, we come out strong and kind of win that post halftime 4 or 5 minutes. That's really critical to a football game. So I think that's what's really important, is just watching, like, this is who we are, this is how we're going to win, and let's try and nail all those three phases and make it happen.
Yeah, you certainly reveal some things sometimes, win or lose, some of those close battles you have. And I got a chance to see some of St. Chris's guys in the offseason. Darius Gray, we know he's a monster 2026 kid for them. Another private school that impressed me a ton, I saw them in a 7-on-7 event, was St. Michael the Archangel. I know they're a team that's loaded with talent. There's a bunch of them across the state. For those that are unfamiliar with how the VHSL works and where you all slide in, sort of give the thumbnail, if you can, for the Division 1 through 3, and actually now 4, I guess, how it sets up in the postseason, because it is different than the public school and it's a different formula. It's changed from when you first started too, I believe.
Correct. Yeah, the VHSL landscape has changed a lot. I mean, even locally, the amount of football teams that are available that are independent schools, it's like year in and year out. You may not know who fields a team. You may not know who's going to have a team, or who's going to be strong, or how many kids did they bring in. At our school, we're kind of self-fulfilled and developing our guys, but other teams have the ability to have the preference to just bring in lots of kids late in the year as a senior or a junior, and it just adds some layers and complexity to the VHSL landscape. But nevertheless, there's 2 divisions right now in VHSL, only 2, and the amount of football teams that have been continually strong are staying that way, and some other teams have jumped up, like St. Michael's. St. Michael's was a Division 2 team last year. I think they're officially in Division 1 this year, and the way that they take the championships to win a state championship is that towards the end of the season there will be a committee that basically picks 4 teams. It's that simple. So you look at records, you look at strength of schedule, you look at who lost to who with matchups, head-to-head matchups. And there used to be a coaches poll. I'm not sure that there's a coaches poll this year. Used to be a point system. I'm not sure that there's going to be a point system this year. There's going to be a committee of like-minded individuals that know the landscape and are going to choose who the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seed are. So just 4 teams make it for Division 1, 4 teams make it for Division 2, and there are some Division 2 teams that are as talented or way more talented than Division 1. So the size of your school ultimately dictates what division you are in. So there's not a lot of people that are getting to play postseason football in independent schools. When our season ends, like last year, we kind of just missed the playoffs. Like we were certainly in the mix at 8-2, but we just missed the playoffs last year and kind of got that 5th spot, which was understandable for some reasons, then our kids are on to basketball, our kids are on to wrestling. Like it's not unhealthy. I think 4 teams is probably enough. There's been talk about expanding it. Maybe 2 teams get a bye and you take the next 4, and et cetera, the way college ball is going these days. But at the same time, we need to be mindful that these young student athletes have been grinding with the toughest, most physical sport since August. And a lot of them are ready to move on to the next sport or the next season, or need a rest before their baseball or lacrosse season comes up. So there's a couple different ways to think about it. I think 4 teams is quite appropriate. There are also some really good football teams like Woodbury Forest and Episcopal that choose not to play in our playoff system because they have what's called their most important game. They play on that weekend. They play against each other. So if you're a school that is a boarding school, you may be on a different schedule. So it's not always the best 4 in the state. It's the best 4 eligible in the state. Some teams opt to play in a different bracket, and they put more of a league bracket, more like that's involved in the DC area. So it's not always the best 4, but it's the best 4 eligible.
Yeah, and I've had this conversation. We could spend hours. We'll let you out here in a moment. And I thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Look forward to following you guys and chatting with you in the future. And I've spoken to some of your coaching compadres like Mike Beal at NSA, who you got coming up here, Wayne Lance at Atlantic Shores, among others. I feel like there's some pros and cons to that. I've heard in other sports they should have a committee. You have that now. It feels like it could expand to maybe 6 or 8. I've always liked 6 because I feel like the NFL had it right when you give those 1 and 2 seeds buys because it is a long season. What's your feeling? Not to bash it or like the process, but how do you kind of view it as a coach now? And you want to have some say and input as a coach. Anything you like to see tweaked with it? And this does feel like it's getting tweaked year to year because even in public school, we just saw last year in the VHSL, Phoebus play a team in Jamestown, win by triple digits. They've now cut that region down from 8 teams to 6 teams. I imagine there's going to be more changes in the future. We all hope it's for the betterment of the sport, the coaches, the athletes, the fans, everyone that's going to check it out.
Well, I think anytime you get a bunch of adults in a room that are going to make decisions based on who plays when and who plays what and how many teams are involved, my biggest issue is a lot of times the adults are thinking about themselves, and they're not thinking about the experience of the student athlete. So I don't mind if adults are in the room saying, we think 4 is the best. We think 6 is the best. We think a committee is best. We think a point system is whatever you decide that it is. Now, I do think that people on the committee should not only be the top 4 teams. The people on the committee should be a better representation of the overall landscape of all the teams, and how you develop that committee or choose that committee is really important. Because if you're a stakeholder, you're one of those top 4, you're going to try and angle some things differently potentially, and therein lies the potential for poisoning or sabotaging the process. But what matters most to me is, are we making decisions that's best for the health and the competitiveness and the mindset for these young men who are playing the greatest team sport in the history of mankind, which is football, but it's also the most physical and toughest sport and stresses the body the most. Are we doing the right thing for these student athletes in this current landscape of independent school football in the state? As long as that's the starting point, I'm fine with it. But I do think we need to have open discussions about it, and it needs to involve lots of people, not just a few.
I'm with you 1,000%. I couldn't have said any better than you did, Coach. There, that's spot on. And a lot of times we say, I know you say to your kids, we control our own fate, our own destiny, and that's not necessarily the case for the playoffs. You can win out, and the committee might say you're not good enough, or you could lose a couple games, and somehow you never know how it goes. So, nonetheless, we wish you all the best as you got the Saints on deck, followed by Blue Ridge, Collegiate, and Catholic to close out the campaign. Steve Monninger doing another great job at Norfolk Academy. Thanks so much for coming on. All the best, and we'll definitely keep in touch and have you on again.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you so much. Have a good day.
That's Steve Monninger, head coach of the Bulldogs of Norfolk Academy. We'll take a timeout and come back with more, including the finishing touches right here on The Hash with Hatfield. Stay tuned.
Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by Doubletree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advance tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. College football only comes to Virginia Beach once a year. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
And we welcome you back to the final segment here of On the Hash with Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel on Covo Sports TV, as we now have a special interview for you before we bid adieu and give you some quick final thoughts. That is the head football coach of the Phoebus Phantoms. They beat the Hampton Crabbers last Saturday. Jeremy Blunt, his team a winner. Here's what he told us after the win, which is the 40th in a row for the reigning two-time state champion Phantoms of Phoebus High.
I am here with Phoebus head football coach Jeremy Blunt. His Phantoms win at 37-3 over the Hampton Crabbers, their 9th straight victory in the series, as your win streaks are now 63 against Peninsula District Schools coach and 40 overall. I know last week it wasn't the picturesque game against Bethel. You did get a running clock win, but today the guys looked like motivated, locked in, and you really bottled them up with your trademark defense, doing it from start to finish.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, man. We need to come and regain our focus. Last week was all about a lack of focus, and we played a team that wasn't afraid of us, and that's what'll happen, man. So, our kids were more locked in on handling everything step by step, fundamentally playing some good, fundamentally sound football, man, and I think we did a pretty good job doing that.
You got guys that have blossomed before our very eyes in your secondary. Just spoke with both of them. Nijay gave the NC Central commit, and Noah Jefferson, Delaware commit. How about Noah today? 2 interceptions, a 60-yard TD from Marika Spanks, your young sophomore quarterback. As those guys rose to the occasion in the big spot today.
Yeah, well, that's what we expect from our veteran guys, man. You guys have been here before. You've done it before, and now it's on your watch. And, I think those guys are handling that thing with grace.
Mm-hmm. We see it time and time again. Last year, the Warwick game, your playoff run to another championship. Davion Roberts, the bull for you. He just gets stronger as the game goes. 18 rushes, 137 yards, 3 TDs. Your offensive linemen, known as the Pancake Boys, if you will, now they're giving him some holes, and you guys in the second half were able to kind of impose your will on them.
Yeah, well, one thing about it, man, Hampton has shown a scrappy, tenacious defense all season, man. Everybody that they played tough. Yeah. So, we got to tip our hats to what Coach Woodrow and the guys are doing, his coaching staff are doing over there with those boys. We knew we were going to have to play physical, man. The second half, we knew we had to come out. This is a nationally recognized rivalry, man. One of the greatest in the state, if not the greatest. So, all bets off once you play each other, man.
I want to hit on that because you've played in this. You've been an assistant, you've now been a head coach for a lot of years in this. What makes this rivalry so special? Because when I walked in here today, Darlington was getting ready to kick off, I felt a little bit of that, goosebumps. Did you sense that as well? And do you still get it from your days playing now?
I tell you what, playing in the afternoon, it kind of takes away from it because you do lose some of the fan base. But, to see the crowd that we had today, considering that, we had rec games going on all over, it was fun, man. You did feel the energy.
2 more for you. Obviously, they have a talented sophomore QB like you do in Marcus Chapman. He started out 5 of 6 today, but he finishes up 7 of 26. So you guys contained him. What was I'm sure all week in film, you saw the game with King George. They almost came back from 28 down. What were some of the things in terms of keys you had to do to keep him from going off?
Oh, yeah, well, he's one of those guys, if you lose contain on him, he is special with his legs. He has a live arm, reads the defense pretty well, so we know he's going to hold you accountable back there in the secondary. And, early on, he kind of got us with a few, but we buckled down and got back to our basic keys, and we were able to play some Phantom football.
Sure. And lastly, Andy Lynn said this to me the other day from Lafayette. I'm wondering if you had the same feeling. They got a little bit of a test from Grafton, pulled away. You got a little bit of a test last week. As a coach, do you relish those moments to see how your guys challenge? Because you have these streaks going. You have the quest for a four-peat. How do you and your staff do it when you see someone kind of, all right, because they raise their play when they see Phoebus now, right? There's a legacy you guys have built.
Well, the thing is, man, I mean, right now everybody's chasing, everybody wants a piece of it, so we got to respect that and understand it. We're going to get everybody's best shot. And if we don't respect it, what Bethel came out and did, they came out and they played their game and they made us honor them. And that's what we had to do. So, this week we were just getting back to focusing in on that, being motivated, being hungry, being disciplined, a lot of penalties out here today, man. It's got
33 is a little too much for us. And you probably.
I tell you what, man. It's a whole other story.
Yeah.
No comment.
No comment. Well, hit me with your best shot. The Phantoms, the beat goes on. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Good job.
So that was Jeremy Blunt. His Phantoms a winner over Hampton last Saturday as they've got the top seed in mind for Region 4A on their quest for a four-peat. We don't have enough time to really go in depth on these. We'll do it next week on the 3 through 1. But Lafayette looking good in 3A. Thomas Jefferson 3B out of Richmond. 3 seed, the defending champion Liberty Christian has got the stranglehold there. 3Ds, William Byrd. Pocosin has a great opportunity to get the number 1 seed in 2A, and we'll go through more of the Class 2 and Class 1. Some quick hitters as we bid adieu on this edition, almost an hour long here. Oscar Smith, Indian River, the focal point for Indian River needs to be the running game with Rayvon Moore. Get him more touches, get him more involved. Can they hold up in the trenches? Oscar Smith wants to make them one-dimensional and disrupt the timing of the pass game. Keep Cam Kirby in the pocket, much like Phoebus did with Marcus Chapman of Hampton last week. I've got it scored Tigers 20-15 over the Braves. Coach Young's got it 26-24. 2 other games to note, one tonight, one on Friday. Beach District game tonight. I'll be at Ocean Lakes in Kempsville. Noah Cologne's having a terrific season for Ocean Lakes. Devin McGill, his primary target there, and quietly Taylor Vogel with 11 sacks, tops in the area. Can Kempsville block him off the edge and make Cologne have to beat them with his arm, not so much his legs? That's going to be the key there. And can Kempsville play ball control, really pound it behind that offensive line, which was known in the past as the trench mob for Darryl Cherry and company. Kempsville's got a shot in this game, but I'm going Dolphins 24-21 to bounce back from the loss to Cox they had last week and get the job done. Ed's got it 26-20 in the Portsmouth rivalry game. Churchland-Norcom, which offense can maximize its go-to playmaker the most? In the case of Churchland, it's the running back Dontavius Booker. In the case of Norcom, it's Matthew Alton. And which defense can wrap up those guys when it comes to not allowing them to get yards after catch, yards after contact, if you will, or yards after the initial contact for tackles. I've got it Truckers 17-16, and I think Ed's got it 18-16 Greyhound. So we disagree on that one. Should be a fun week. Make sure you tune in to 757 Saturday Sports Talk. This coming Saturday, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. We'll have some special guests for you, and we'll react and recap all the high school football action. You can always interact with us on all of our social pages through Facebook, Twitter, X, VirginiaPreps.com, IG, Apple, Spotify, and, of course, on our main channel on YouTube, which is Cova Sports TV. So that's going to do it for this edition of On the Hash with Hatfield, and we'll do it again next week for you as we move it along here in the month of October. We'll have more power ratings breakdown, look at some of the playoff projections and all that good stuff for you right here. Have a great sports weekend and football weekend, and we'll talk to you next time.